Hello, everyone, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Beauty Temi. And today we're going to be having a very important conversation. This is one of the most important videos we've ever done on this channel. I know I say that about a lot of videos, but honestly, trust me on this one. And today we're going to be talking about death, afterlife. What happens when we die? Like when we leave this planet, what actually does happen to our spirit? What happens to our soul? Where are we going to, and all of that? I know I've done a video previously about death, and then I was talking about leaving a legacy, making an impact, having a will. What will you be remembered for? But I think that that's one aspect to it, and even if we look at it from one perspective, that aspect is still kind of like self-seeking. You're still thinking about like yourself, like what will people remember me for, what will people say about me. But when we bring the conversation down to where am I going when I die, where am I going? I know that a lot of religion talks about the concept of heaven, and they talk about the concept of hell. While some people believe that there's nothing like heaven, there's nothing like hell. Once you die, you've gone. That's the end. Some people believe that when you die, you reincarnate, you come back as another person and all of that. And it's in so many cultures. For instance, in the Yoruba culture, let's say a grandma dies, the very next female child that is born after the grandma dies, most likely the person's name is going to be Yetunde or something like that. Yetunde means mother has come back. The same way, if you have any friends that their name is Babatunde, maybe a grandfather died or the father died and a son was born, usually that child is going to be called Babatunde. It's believed that it is the grandfather that left that came back as that child that has come now. If a parent loses a child and maybe shortly after they give birth to another child, there is a high probability that they will name that new child Omotunde, meaning that it is the child that left that has come back, form of reincarnation. I remember when I was a lot younger, there was this movie that had me on a chokehold. It is Om Shanti Om, an Indian movie and all of that. And he explained the concept of reincarnation, falling in love. It was a crazy movie. Like, I was just like, now that I'm older, I'm just like, Indian people, you people exaggerate. But it just shows that there is something like reincarnation in their culture as well. And I remember another movie that we all watched a long time ago. If you can remember Second Chance. Yes, I just remember this Second Chance movie. I don't know, the story was a crazy one, but I just say that to say that it shows that regardless of whatever culture you're coming from, a lot of cultures, a lot of traditions believes in the concept of reincarnation. Now, do I believe in reincarnation? Hell no. No, I don't believe in it at all. I believe that when we die, each and every one of us will answer to the way we live on this planet. We will go to heaven and then we will answer to, okay, did you live a good life? Did you live a bad life? Because my own argument for reincarnation is, where is accountability? If I know that, oh, okay, no matter how I lived my life and everything, I would just, do kini, I would just die and come back. And also, like, when I come back, why don't I remember stuff that happened in my previous life? Why don't I actually do remember stuff? I should remember something. I should actually remember something that, oh, I've been here before and everything. I know some people's argument to be like, when you get to some place and everything, there are things that your spirit will resonate with for some reason. There are people that you will meet that your soul will resonate with for some reason, because your soul, your spirit, they know some things that you might not know. There are some people that you will meet that immediately your spirit will feel somehow. It doesn't mean you met them in a previous world. It just means that your spirit is telling you something. It's a pointer in another direction. So please, I personally don't believe in the concept of reincarnation, and most religions don't believe in this reincarnation. Another argument on the reincarnation thing is, where does it end? We all know that one day the world will end. So like, if we keep going and coming, when does it end? And when it ends, what now happens at the end? Those are questions that people who believe in reincarnation are not able to answer. Unlike the religions and the faiths that do not believe in reincarnation, there are answers to those questions. There are religions that will say that if you live a good life, it is from the grave you start enjoying yourself before you eventually go to heaven, judgment day, and all of that. There are so many beliefs. The concept and the knowledge of God I have, God is just. God is a God of justice. I mean, if you do something, there must be consequences for that action. That doesn't mean God is bad. Just the way if my daughter does something wrong, she might get spanked, she might get shouted, she will get something for that thing that she has done. There's consequences for all actions as well. Also, the same God that is just is also very merciful. If you ask for forgiveness and you're remorseful, I mean, if my daughter, if immediately I want to spank her, the way she looks, she just looks like, oh, it was genuinely a mistake, it was this. Even if I will still punish her, my punishment is going to be lessened. I will have more mercy on her just because of the way she reacted and all of that. Now, why is this conversation even important in us achieving our purpose and all of those? Because I know you're looking like this thing sounding weird. No, don't worry, it's not weird. I'm just saying it because as we are here, as we are human beings, we have a soul, we have a spirit, and we have our body. The only reason we are here is because our body is functional. Even if it is not yet our time to die, and then something happens to this physical body that we have, eventually the person will have to go, because the spirit cannot stay here. If a spirit is here without a body, that spirit is not a good spirit. That spirit is not a good spirit. That spirit is a bad spirit. In fact, some people tell you that that spirit is a demonic spirit. Our body is not ourselves. It is a part of us. Yes, our body is a part of us, but it's the shell covering who we really are on the inside of us. Our mind, our soul, that's where we are. That's why we can't overly pay too much attention to what is happening in our body. Now, to put a balance to it, that doesn't mean you should live unhealthy, you should be eating anything you like, you should be sleeping, you should be doing anything. You still need to take good care of the body, because you need the body to survive in this world. Once this body dies and then you can no longer be on this planet, you're going to go somewhere. You're going to go somewhere, and what will determine where you're going to go is dependent on the kind of life you lived. And that is one of the reasons why it's important that you find your purpose in life, because by the time you're working with God and you are able to find why you were even created in the first place, you will live a much better life. All the talents that God has deposited in you, you're going to be able to bring them into, manifest them, use them on this planet for the good of humanity. You're going to serve others. You're just going to be more of a person who lives an impactful life than someone who just comes to this planet. Maybe you're chasing money. In the quest for you just chasing money, nothing concern you with purpose. There's nothing you couldn't do for money. Maybe you even killed somebody. Maybe you were pushing drugs that destroyed lives of many other people and so many other things. At the end of the day, when you die, you're going to go and answer to all those things that you did. Even now, let's even bring it down to, okay, yes, you lived a good life, you were not morally bankrupt, you had good morals, but you really lived a basic life, but you didn't find your purpose in life. You didn't live in purpose. You lived for yourself and maybe for your family, your children, and all of that, and eventually you died. When you get to heaven, don't you know that God is going to ask you that all those gifts I gave you, all those talents I gave you, what did you use it to achieve, and all of that? And it's still going to count for something. I don't know what it will count for, because I've never been to heaven before, but I think that it's still going to count for something. For instance, if I buy a phone now, and the major reason why I bought the phone is because I want it to have a good camera that I can use for videos, that I can use for pictures and all of that, and then I get the phone, and then the camera is not good, but someone is telling me that the sound system is good, it's 5G, if you make a call, the data is this and all of that, and they are listing all the other great benefits of that phone. You know that phone is kind of useless to me. Of course, I can use those great benefits, but that wasn't the primary purpose why I spent all that amount of money to purchase this phone. I spent all that amount of money to purchase the phone because I thought the phone was going to be useful to me. I'll be able to take good pictures. I'll be able to take good videos. That's why it's so important for us to know what our purpose is. So yes, you can be a good person. Maybe you were philanthropic. You did some things. If you did not fulfill the exact purpose God gave you in life, the reason why you came here, you failed. You've actually failed. Yes, you were answering another person's past question. That's what you were doing. That's why you cannot use another person's own to determine what your purpose is in life. And you must always focus. As I am like this, God knows, one of my major goals, in fact, my number one primary goal in life is that when I die, I must make heaven know. I cannot even afford to go to a fire, because I can see some of the sufferings in this world. The sun is too hot. The sun, ordinarily the sun in this season is very, very hot. Now imagine someone having to finish in this world with all the robot, you will not see end up in hellfire. Double jeopardy. Some people say that if God created you in Nigeria, You must not even afford to go to FIA at all because you have already experienced most of this in this country. Why I don't totally agree with that, but you can't afford to come to this world and just go like that. So it's so important that as we are living our lives, as we are eating and drinking, partying and doing all those other things, we must always have at the back of our minds what is going to happen when I die. Don't get carried away by the activity that is going on in this world, by the newness of technology and all of those things, all of the things that are happening in this world. God forbid that such a thing happens, but ordinary one small earthquake, regardless of advancements in technology or anything, one small flood or one small earthquake, it will destroy every single thing, and there is nothing anybody can do. Some people say, oh, they created one bunk in one place, there's one kinikon. May we not see natural disasters. There's no disaster that cannot wipe off all those things, and these are things that are beyond any human being's control. So one major reason why we must always really think about death, especially from a sober reflection perspective, is that God forbid any one of us dies today. Trust me, in your house, no matter how much they love you, they will eat. Oh, they will eat. You know why they will eat? It's not because they don't love you. It's not because they are bad people. They're actually not bad people. The reason why they will eat is because nature will call. They will get hungry and they will eat. They will go to the toilets. They will do the things that they normally do. Life will go on. So that's one of the reasons why you can't afford to tighten this life to your chest and do things just because of what's going on in this world. And one of the things I've come to discover is that to fulfill your purpose in life, you have to overcome the fear of death. That doesn't now mean you should go and stand in front of a trailer, but you actually really have to overcome the fear of death if you want to fulfill your purpose in life, because there are some of the things that God will call you to do, especially now in this world, that things are happening in upside down perspective. There are so many things. Let me not use all my mouth to talk, but there are so many things that are happening that shouldn't be happening in this world. So if you are scared of death, there are some things you won't be able to do. You won't be able to stand up to some people. Some policies you won't be able to stand against, that no, I do not stand for this. This is injustice. This is not right, because you're scared of death. Now, this doesn't mean that you should go and provoking everybody and just be putting yourself in harm's way. There must be a balance to every single thing that we are doing, because a lot of people's purpose is tied to you being bold, being very, very confident, having moments where you're looking people in their faces and telling them that I do not stand for this nonsense that you're trying to do. A lot of us hope and pray that God bless them us with long lives, but the truth about it is that there's no guarantee for anybody, and it's not everybody that will live a long life. That's actually the truth. I have a friend that died when we were in 2020. I still miss her till date. It was a very, very sad one, and she was how old were we in 2020? We were in our 20s at the time, very, very young, promising, bright future and everything, and she died, and that was the end of it. So there is no promises that anybody is going to live a long life. So that's why you have to get to that point of confidence that, you know what, even if I'm going to be living for a short while, even if I'm living a short life, I want to ensure that every single day I live, it counts in my life. Every single day I live, it is making a difference. Every single day I live, great and mighty things are happening in my life. You have to be moving with that knowledge and that confidence every single time. I believe that the only thing that is certain in this life is actually death. And for something that is so certain, it's important that we keep thinking about it and we live our life with the knowledge, not for it to cripple us that we are now scared that, oh, you can't do anything, but instead it should even propel us to want to do more and say that the little time that I have on this planet, I'm not sure how long that time is, I'm going to make the most of it. And with that, we've come to the end of this episode of Build with Temi. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your likes, your share, your subscription, your consistent comment. Please don't forget, as usual, to like, share, subscribe. Please, if you'd like to connect with me deeper, feel free to send an email to buildwithtemi@gmail.com, and I can assure you you're going to get a response from me. Till I come your way again next time, I remain Temi Tokwe Owolabi. Bye.